We're back now with Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who's out with a new book, True Gretch, What I've Learned About Life, Leadership, and Everything in Between. Welcome. I want to get to the book, but first we have to start with this political situation going on right now with President Biden. He told congressional Democrats yesterday that the questions about his candidacy have been well aired, time for them to end. Do you agree? Does he have your full support?
He has my full support. I'm a co-chair for the Biden-Harris campaign. I have great confidence in this president. He's got receipts he's delivered for the American people, and I'm glad that he's ready to continue this fight.
What do you say to your fellow Democrats like Senators Patty Murray, John Tester, who say he still has to prove his fitness to answer questions?
I respect the conversation that's happening, and certainly I think what we've seen from the president is an eagerness to get out and about. He's going to be in Michigan later this week. He's getting all across the country. I think he's shown that he's got the energy and he's ready to take this on.
And I know you've called questions about whether you're going to jump into the race of distraction. So, but is it your position that you're not going to jump in the race even if President Biden drops out?
Yeah, I don't foresee any change in this race, and the president and the vice president have my full support.
Let's talk about the book. You say one of the things you write about in the book is that your grandmother taught you to look for the good in any person or situation. For Democrats right now, and a lot of them are feeling pretty distressed the last several days, where's the good?
I think that's why I wrote this book. You know, George, the question I get predominantly is how do I stay optimistic with all the heavy stuff that we've had to navigate, knowing that this once again is going to be another heavy political year. I wanted to make sure that people see some of the lessons that I've used to get through these last 6 years. And so I do think that in times of stress, it is more important than ever to listen and to ask people what's going on in their lives, try to see the humanity in one another, and try to find some good out of any situation. And I think that's a key to getting through hard times.
Have you found any now?
I think there are conversations that are happening that maybe weren't before. I do always seek to sit down with folks. In the book, I talk a little bit about sitting down with farmers in Midland, Michigan, a pretty conservative part of my state, but just to check in, and found that we were experiencing a lot of the same things, and that I think is really powerful. The power of listening is important.
You also talk about what you learned about dealing with bullies. Talk about that.
Well, over the course of my life, like just about everyone I know, I've had to deal with some folks that have taken aim at me, whether it is, schoolyard insults to people commenting on my dress during my first State of the State in Michigan, and to a former president who singled me out and encouraged people to hurt me and my family. At the end of the day, I am an ordinary person in an extraordinary role, serving during an extraordinary time, and staying focused, finding the good in any situation, and running to the fire, I think, are some of the lessons that have sustained me.
What did you learn about dealing with Donald Trump, and what lessons can Democrats take in the next several months from that?
Well, to deal with a bully, you take their weapon and make it your shield. You laugh at a joke, or you own Fat Woman from Michigan, the moniker that the former president gave me. We saw an Etsy community grow, and women showing up at my event saying, I stand with that woman from Michigan. And so we took someone else's weapon and made it our shield, a call to action, something that people could unify around. And I think that maybe is the best tack for dealing with bullies.
You say this book isn't really a memoir, more of a handbook.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's a short book. You can pick it up. You don't have to read every chapter in succession. And it really is something that happened in my life, or a lesson that I learned, and how I used it over some of the challenges of these last 6 years, whether it was the insane flooding that we had that wiped out bridges and meant we had to evacuate 10,000 people in the middle of the night, in the middle of a pandemic, to the pandemic itself, to the kidnapping and murder plot that the public became aware of a couple years ago. These are extraordinary circumstances, but certainly everyone has tough stuff that they've got to navigate, and that's my hope, is you get a laugh, or there's a lesson or a little inspiration.
Your state is a must-win for Democrats. Where do things stand right now?
Well, I think Michigan is always going to be on, a state that you can't take your eye off of. People in Michigan are good, hardworking people. We expect our leaders to be as good, if not better, and work just as hard, if not harder. And it's always going to be a close race. So as I've told people, don't clutch your pearls when you see a poll where we're down 2 points. Don't celebrate when we're up 2 points. Roll up your sleeves and let's do the work. And I think that's why we've been so successful, and that'll continue to drive the work that we do going into November.
And what's the most important thing you want people to learn about you from this book?
I'm a normal human being. I have shortcomings. I have had weird experiences. I've had some really wonderful victories. And if there's a lesson that someone can take from this to help them get through a hard time, or a laugh to lighten the heaviness of this moment, that's what it's all about.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks, George.
True Gretch, What I've Learned About Life, Leadership, and Everything in Between is available right now. Robin?
I love that. Don't clutch your pearls. Made me think of my family members back in Mississippi saying that. Thank you, Governor, so much.